What's good, Griffin13 here back in the day, and today guys I want to go over how to unlock the brand new Hotwheels Rip Rod here in Forza Horizon 4. But before I do that, I do want to mention this. This is a doozy of a challenge. You're going to be going up against real people, some of which may be just as skilled or less skilled than you, but others are also probably going to be more skilled than you. And I'm going to be going over some tips and tricks in this video on how to actually surpass and get past those boundaries so that you can unlock this card. But I do also want to mention this. If you do not receive this card this week, do not worry, do not fret, everything will be okay, because if history shows, there is a high possibility that at the end of this week, Forza will gift everybody the Hotwheels Rip Rod, and as well, if they don't do that, there is also a huge possibility, and it's probably going to happen at some point, that Forza is going to make this either another seasonal championship in a much easier championship, or it'll also be available via Forza Shop rewards. So there is some way that this car is going to be available in the future. So if you don't get it now, do not worry, do not fret, everything will be okay. You can also go ahead and purchase it in the auction house. But right now, let's actually get in on how you can unlock this car. So starting things off, you need to make your way over to the Horizon Festival drag strip. Probably shouldn't have to tell you guys where this is since the location is kind of in the name. It's at the Horizon Festival. But what you're going to notice is that this challenge is hopped up with a PI requirement of 100 to 600, which means that you can go maximum of C-Class on your cars in this challenge using a Rods and Customs. So once you first get into the challenge, you're probably not even going to notice the Hot Wheels Rip Rod as a reward. You'll see under the solo section, first place against expert Trivatars get super wheel spin, second place against highly skilled get a wheel spin, and third place against average will receive 20,000 credits. But what you need to do is you actually need to scroll all the way over to the PvP section, which this is the championship that you're going to do in order to unlock the Rip Rod. And you'll notice that place first at the end of the championship to receive the Rip Rod, place third at the end of the championship to receive a wheel spin, and place sixth at the end of the championship to receive 20,000 credits. Again, this is PvP, so you're going to be going up against real players, which makes this more difficult. So but now let's actually talk some strategy, as there's a couple different ways that you can almost guarantee that you're going to get this card. The first way is pretty much a guarantee, and I'm going to tell you guys, leave a comment down below in the comment section with your gamer tag if you're having trouble, because maybe you guys can form a group of individuals who can work hard to actually unlock this card. But essentially, if you are able to form a convoy of 12 people all in communication, you can almost guarantee that you will receive the Hot Wheels Rip Rod, because if you enter into the PvP championship in a 12-person convoy, it's going to be all 12 of you guys against each other, which means that when you enter into this challenge, 12 people, you guys can basically just circle through it, and in 12 challenges, all 12 of you will receive the car at the end. That is pretty dope. You know, as long as you're able to get a group of individuals together, you can unlock this car, no sweat. However, if you want to take things solo, there's also a couple of different ways that you can do this, and mostly it's going to be strategy on how to beat other players, and that's what I'm going to go over right now. Now, if you've got a group of 12 players, it really doesn't matter what car you're using, because essentially, you're just going to allow one person to win all 4 races in order to unlock the vehicle. But if you're going to go solo like what I did, you're going to need to choose a very specific car, and this is the 1932 Ford Five Window Coupe, and you'll need to find a semi-decent tune for it. The one that I found was by a guy named SuperShow89, gamertag is on the screen right here, and his tune was pretty good, and I was able to actually win with it and get some halfway decent times once I learned how to use the car. So starting things off in the first race, what you'll need to do is you'll need to hold down the gas at the start of the race, and as soon as the light turns green, you want to upshift in manual with clutch into second gear, and this is going to allow you to get the most traction. The time that I actually got on this was a 10.8, which allowed me to actually secure a victory in this race. Pretty damn amazing. The amount of sheer joy I got from winning that race was just overwhelming, and then the next one and the next one and the next one, it was just absolutely amazing, and I loved it. But moving on into the second race, you're actually going to be on the beach. Now, we're going to start off with a very similar strategy from the first race, where essentially you're going to be holding down the gas and then shifting up into second gear right at the start of the race. However, the thing is since you're going to be on the sand, your tires are still going to be spinning. Now, you'll let it move up into the rev limiter, and then you're going to want to upshift into third, and this is going to happen very, very quickly, so you'll need to be right on the ball. The thing is though, is once it gets into third, allow it to get up into the rev limiter, but hold on a second, because what's going to happen is it's going to go into the rev limiter, but your tires will finally get traction, and then it's going to back off a little bit, and then go back into third. So you'll need to be ready on that. You'll let it go up into the rev limiter on third gear, drop down, and then move back up, and then change up into fourth, and you should be good to go the rest of the way. Now, the third race is going to be very similar to the first race. We're back on the pavement again on a relatively short track. You're going to want to hold down the gas and upshift into second gear right as soon as the light turns green, and this will allow you to go straight down the track, no problem. However, though, there is one thing on the third race that you need to avoid. There are some cones down towards the end in the center, so try and avoid the center of the track, otherwise you're going to hit these cones and they could slow you down. If you hit one or two on the side, don't worry about it, that shouldn't really slow you down, but if you go right into the middle of them, you're probably going to lose a little bit of speed and you may end up costing you the race. So, but then finally moving on into the fourth race, this is where things get a little tricky, and this is where a lot of people have been talking about how this is a lottery system. Because essentially, if you start off in the left-hand lanes, you're kind of screwed. This is the one part that does suck. You want to make sure in this Ford Five Window Coupe that you're over in the right-hand lanes. Because what will happen is, farther down on the track, because this is almost a minute-long race, you're going to be moving a little bit throughout the course. In one of the corners, you're actually going to fly into the left-hand lanes. But the thing is, though, as you start off in the left-hand lanes, well, instead of moving into the track, you're going to instead move into a giant field. So what you want to do when you start this race is start off very similar to the first and third race, where you basically launch and upshift really quickly into second gear, but you're also going to want to make your way into the right-hand lanes. If you've won the first three races, you shouldn't have anything to really worry about here, because you're going to be 12 points ahead of second place, which means that you'd have to come very far down on the actual race in order to lose this. So you want to make your way over into the right hand lane as the race starts. And once you get going at the start of this race, pretty much it's just going to be making those turns very tightly. It's going to come more down to who can get the closest to the edge and who is able to actually overcome the challenges of this course. So the last thing I want to talk about is the possibility of Forza gifting this car to everybody, and why it's a good idea, but also why it's a bad idea. The good reasons are, you know, there's a lot of players out there who are not necessarily familiar with the Forza franchise. They're not used to this way of game where, you know, there's a bunch of locked content behind challenges and walls and all that sort of stuff, like the Hot Wheels Rip Rod. But there's also a lot of players who are familiar with the Forza franchise, the Forza faithful, who, you know, they're used to this kind of thing. It's been in the game, it's ingrained into the system. Look at Horizon 3 and Motorsport 7, although Motorsport 7 eventually got rid of it at the end because there was a lot of mad individuals with that. But as well, you know, it's just been a thing in Forza since the beginning pretty much. Unicorn cars and the challenge in order to get them. And I like keeping that kind of history alive. It makes the game fun for me. But I know a lot of other players who are going to, you know, just come home from work one day and they've got an hour of free time to sit down and play it. They're not even going to think about this challenge because they don't have the time in order to get good enough at drag racing just to go ahead and overcome it. You know, there's a lot of players who are going to say, I can't get the car, I'll have to wait until it comes out at a later date. And again, it's going to come out at a later date. So you don't really have to worry about it not being available to everybody right now, because it'll be available to everybody at some other point in time. Then there's the bad reason of why to give this car to everybody, and that's because you created a challenge. You're telling people that this is the only way for them to get this car, and a lot of people are going to put in hours, maybe even days, the entire week just to unlock this vehicle, and then all of a sudden you're going to give it to everybody and they're going to think, well, I just wasted like 30 hours of my life trying to unlock this car. Why did I do that if they were just going to give it out to everybody? Why did they make a challenge if they're just going to give it to everybody? You know, it's going to cause a lot of frustration on those people's parts. Like, I have two Moser MT900Ss now because I did the challenge, I unlocked the car, and then they gave me a free one. So I don't understand why there was a challenge with that car to begin with, and if they give everybody the Hot Wheels Rip Rod, I also don't understand Why would they make a challenge in the first place if they're just going to give it to everybody in the end? So but anyway though, I guess that's where we're going to go wrap things up for today. Leave a comment down below. Let me know, what do you think? Should Forza give this car to everybody or not? And as well, are you guys going to put in the time and the effort to actually unlock this car? I know it is quite a challenge, but honestly, in my opinion, when I overcame it, I just experienced pure joy, and I absolutely loved it. But like I said, that's where we're going to go and wrap things up for today. If you guys want to, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at twitter.com/Careful13 and Instagram.com/Careful13. And if you guys like this video, go and make sure to hit that like button down below for us, because you guys already know your support is so greatly appreciated. And make sure to subscribe for more videos coming out all the time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.